Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adrián Feliu Talegon, and this is my final project for the course 9467. 2 months ago, I started to work for CUNY as a financial analyst. For this reason, I have decided to analyze the income statements of CUNY to see how big this company is. Here in the first tab, we can see the revenues and expenses divided by operating and non-operating. And we have the revenues and expenses for the year 2016 and 2015. All these numbers are expressed in thousands. So as we can see, for 2016, the total revenues are almost $5 billion. After looking at these financial statements, I was surprised because I didn't imagine that CUNY was so big and was generating so much money. Now we are gonna move to the second tab, where I have analyzed the income statements by different categories. So here we have the different categories for operating revenues. As we can see, tuition and fees are generating $812 million for 2016. After looking at these tables, sometimes when we look at these tables, it is difficult to understand the information. So for the reason, I have created a dashboard to better understand these numbers. In this dashboard, I have created two pie charts. The first one is for the revenues in 2016. So we can see that the New York State appropriations are generating 34% of the total revenues in 2016, and grant and contracts are generating 28% of the revenues. Now if we look at the pie chart for expenses in 2016, we can see that instruction is the highest expense and is generating 41% of the total expenses. Here I have created two column charts for the revenues and expenses in 2015 and 2016. As we can see, the revenues for 2016, the revenues and expenses for 2016 are higher than the revenues and expenses for 2015. Now we are gonna move to the solver exercise. So here we have the undergraduate students and the graduate students. I have divided them by full-time and part-time. So as we can see, we have 18,498 students that they were graduate students and studying full-time. Here we have the number of total students for CUNY. So we have almost 270,000 students. In this second part, I calculated the revenues generated by tuition. So I went to the different websites. I went to the website of different colleges, and I found that for example, for full-time students, if they are undergraduate, they are paying a little more than $3,000 per semester, and full-time graduate students a little more than $6,000. For the part-time students, I got the price per credit and I multiplied this price by the average credit that they are taking by each semester. Over here, we have the revenues that are generated by New York City and New York State appropriations. This is the total number that we can see in the income statement, and I have divided this number in undergraduate students and graduate students. I have decided that 95% of this total number is going to undergraduate students because we have much more many undergraduate students than graduate students. And then if we divide this number by the total number of undergraduate students, we get the appropriation received by students. Over here we have a summary of what I said before. So here we have the number of students by the different type of students and the total revenues from tuition. And over here we have the total appropriation revenue by different students. If we add these two numbers, we got the total revenues. So CUNY is generating almost $3 billion between the revenues from tuition and the revenues from appropriations. Now I created a last tab so we can use the solver system. So we are gonna imagine that we have 4 types of different products, and each product is gonna be a different type of student. Like the first product is gonna be undergraduate full-time students. The second type of product is gonna be undergraduate part-time students. The third type of product is gonna be graduate full-time students, and the last type of product is gonna be graduate part-time students. And also we are gonna imagine that the government created a new regulation. This new regulation, what is gonna make is to put a maximum quantity for appropriation by each type of product that in our case are students. So, for example, undergraduate full-time students can get a maximum appropriation of $1.3 billion. Over here, undergraduate part-time students are gonna get a maximum of $500 million. So here we have solver. I have used the changing variables cells that are gonna be the number of students, and we are gonna have 2 different constraints. The first constraint is this one, that is gonna say that the total that we cannot have a higher maximum of total students than 269,141. And the second constraint is going to be related as what I said before, the maximum quantity for appropriation. So this constraint is saying that the appropriation, the total appropriation revenues cannot be higher than $1.3 billion, and here cannot be higher than 500,000, and so on. And at the end, when we click on solve, we are gonna see what is the total revenue that CUNY is getting with this new government regulation. The result is that after this new regulation, CUNY will make $2.9 billion instead of $2.98 billion that was making without any regulation. So all in all, this new regulation is going to hurt the total profits of CUNY. I found Solver very useful, and I think that I can currently use it at my job when we want to maximize the profits and we have some constraints. Thank you very much.